What's up, guys? You got Brandon with Social Butterfly, we got Michael with Unreal, and we wanted to put a video together because a lot of people talk about what's actually going on right now, but no one's really focusing on how everything came about and how everything got started. And so we're gonna put this video together and really dive deep into how Unreal got started, how I'm working with them, and how it all really started at Mankato. So Michael, let's just knock it away and talk about how you got started.
Well, you want the long version or the short version?
We're gonna go the long version.
All right. So it goes way back. I mean, I'm 26 now. It goes back to when I was 13 years old, pretty much. I saw kind of the transformation in websites. Really, internet went from dial-up to cable. A lot of people watching this probably don't even know about dial-up internet. But, when that happened, then websites went from like basic HTML to now there's like Flash. There's just like way better graphics being displayed, and I thought that was very interesting. I was an athlete growing up, and I just had like this kind of nerd background, kind of piece to me. And
so it started with a website. You were interested in like developing websites or designing or just building the entire website?
Designing, not necessarily like the coding, but more of like the graphic design elements of it. And I just thought that was really cool how they came together. And so I started diving into it, researching a little bit, seeing if we could figure out how to put together a website. And pretty soon I was doing it. So.
And what was the first website about? Was it about Unreal or?
Oh man, that's the first one. I think was just me putting together like my personal portfolio website, kind of like offering my web design services.
And what year? So you were 13 when you did this?
Yeah.
And what year was this?
You gonna make me do the math?
All right, so you're 13 and you're putting together a portfolio website based on just the different skill sets that you've put together, or you're trying to just play around with the different features and figuring out what's capable?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I was playing a lot of Halo at the time, and so I think actually the first website was like my team wanted a website, and I was like, all right, I'll figure it out.
Really?
Put that together, and I was like, oh, well.
Halo 1 or Halo 2?
Halo 2.
Okay.
Halo 2. And so put together a team website, and then like, well, I carry bags at Delwood. I'm a caddy, and all the guys that I carry bags for are small business owners or medium-sized business owners. So why don't I just start doing websites and selling to those guys? And so that's what I did. I just figured out how to make websites, started selling to those guys, and then before you know it, they're asking me for polos and hats and things like that for their company. And so then I had to figure that out. So I called up some local embroidery companies and screen printing companies, and met a guy named Derek Cooper, who's in White Bear Lake, and his wife Randy Cooper, and they were stitching out of their basement and had, let's see, one embroidery machine and one screen printing machine. And so I had them just doing like kind of small orders of different client apparel, and it was awesome. I mean, it was working well, and that kind of got me interested in the apparel side of things. I really liked making tangible products, and like I said earlier, I'm way more inclined or interested in the graphic design aspect than necessarily like the coding and all the
right, just the overall appearance and the look of everything.
Yeah, the look and feel. And so that was a great solution for me. I was doing a lot of business, just basically going caddying during the week and on the weekends, and telling these guys, if you need a website, I'll do it for half of what that agency's charging you. And so that was still $5,000 a rip. So
right, yeah. So you found a gap.
Right, yeah. So I found a nice little gap there, and did that through junior high and high school, and then ended up going to Mankato. I chose Mankato because I was looking for a good place to learn about business and kind of learn the fundamentals. I was initially going to go to an art school, continue learning about web design, but
the Art Institute up here?
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
I almost went to that, and I actually only went to Mankato because it was close, the campus was phenomenal, and it was affordable.
That's
I only toured one school, and that was it.
Too. And I was like, you know what? Like, yeah, I could go get my generals done at a community college, but it's just not the look that I want to go for. I don't necessarily want to stay in my hometown,
as well, too.
Right.
I mean, there is the network, but it's a whole
no one
different.
knows each other necessarily at the community colleges.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean that's a huge piece of it. Is just like the college experience I wanted, and so I landed on Mankato, and for all the same reasons that you just said, and. When I got there, I had two roommates, and they were way into gaming too. Like, they're playing Call of Duty all night long. And one night they come into my room, and I'm working on some freelance projects, just graphic design stuff that I'm finding online. And I'm like, dude, you got to take a look at this. These kids they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars playing Xbox and winning these Call of Duty tournaments.
And this was freshman year?
Yeah, so this was 2011.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm pretty old. So. So they showed me this check, or this picture of these kids holding this giant check, and they're wearing like these screen printed T-shirts with 30 sponsor logos on them, and
almost like a NASCAR.
Like, let me see that picture one more time. And so I look close at it, and then I'm literally working on a sublimation project right now. Dye sublimation is like this printing process that it's pretty common in the softball world.
Where you take like the design, it's like filtered throughout the whole shirt.
Digitally printed, yeah.
Okay.
So you can do unlimited colors and kind of put graphics everywhere. And so I'm like, let me see that again. I'm doing a catalog for this guy for like a bunch of softball jersey designs. And I look at it, I'm like, dude, this might be a way better opportunity. So just kind of piecing that together, I'm like, well, I wonder if anyone's doing jerseys in the gaming world. I don't think that's even a thing. Sure enough, it wasn't. I mean, gamingjerseys.com was the first search I made, and that was available, so I bought it for like $3. And then
Hold on, gamingjerseys.com.
Yeah.
2011 was wide open.
Wide open.
All right.
I mean, the gaming industry is huge. I just don't think people were thinking about the jerseys.
It was big back then, but like now, like everyday people are actually understanding like where the gaming industry is going.
Totally.
And you were definitely ahead of the curve there.
Maybe. I think it was well established. I think it's just now really getting mainstream.
Pop culture,
Yeah, exactly. But I'm looking at this opportunity. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to start up that company, and this is going to be huge. So, and I knew about like MLG and Major League Gaming and all the the different tournaments and stuff that were going on, but had never heard of anyone doing these uniforms. So created this company, and I went back to the same guy I was freelancing for and said, hey, you want to partner up on this thing? You have all the manufacturing equipment, the facility, so you do the manufacturing and distribution, and I'll do all the other stuff, and we'll start up this company. So I'm 18 at the time. I don't know too much about business, and haven't even gotten into my business classes. I was just starting generals, and all I knew was I wanted to make sure that I had control. That's what some business guy had told me. So make sure you have 51%. So I went to him and offered him 49%, and I showed him my website, met at some coffee shop, and this guy liked it. He's like, I'm interested. Let's but if we're gonna do this, it's got to be 50-50. Okay, sure. I had relinquished on that pretty quick.
You did a counter offer. You're like, I'm down.
Yeah, I just was excited that some guy wanted to work with me. This guy that is a well-established businessman, and at least more than double my age.
Right.
So I was pretty excited about that, and started up this company, and things were going well.
And this was gamingjerseys.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Things were going well, so I'm running it from my college apartment, and I would go back to the cities on the weekends. He's located in the cities, and go back every weekend and work in the office, and come back, go to class, work on this all night. And within a year, we got the attention of Major League Gaming. This tournament series, or kind of like the governing
So it's like
body.
the NHL, the NFL of gaming.
Yeah, it was at the time. I don't know that it still is today, but yeah, it definitely was at the time. And they offered us, well, no, they hadn't yet. They had just kind of caught attention of us, and so we were emailing back and forth with some of their executives, asking if we can come out to one of their tournaments and shake some hands and talk about an opportunity. And so they said, yeah, come out to Dallas for our World Championships. So we flew out to Dallas and met with everybody, saw the opportunity, and like 20% of the players that were wearing our jerseys, they bought them online.
How'd that feel?
It was awesome. That was like the first time I experienced.
And how old were you when this happened?
18.
Bro, what I want to understand is that you're 18 years old. Like, do you have anyone like telling you to do these things? Are you like just like a risky person? Because from what I know, and we'll jump into how we got started and how we work together, but you're a very like thought out, calculated person. So the fact that you're like jumping the ball on all these things, that's what I want to know. Like, did you have anyone kind of guiding you throughout these things?
I mean, I went totally against the grain from like what my family does. I mean, they own a construction company, so they are entrepreneurial, but it's totally like
different
a traditional industry.
Yep.
And so they were looking at me like I was insane this whole time. I mean,
insane or genius?
Insane.
Okay.
Now
you're
genius
a genius.
part. Yeah. Now I think I'm a genius. Before they were like, this kid's crazy. I don't know what we're gonna do with him.
Yeah, he's a nerd.
Yeah. and so at first it was the website thing. My dad finally like got over that hurdle, and he's like, you know what, I think that's a great business. And then I got into the apparel thing, and he's like, you're an idiot. Why don't you stay in the web design field? That's way less overhead. You can make a killing doing that. And I said, yeah, but I'm young. Let me give it a shot. And you
like tangible things too. That's what you said earlier.
I do. I like seeing people wearing it or seeing people using it, and you don't really. I mean, you get that, but you don't really get that.
It's a number usually. It's like, 10,000 people hit your website. I don't know any of those guys.
Right.
Right.
But you see 10,000 people in a year walking around wearing your stuff, and that's what gets
that's
me
an
going.
impact. Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I just decided I wanted to start taking some risks and taking chances, and knew I wanted to do something cool with my life. I would be daydreaming all the time, and just wanted to kind of bring it to fruition.
Right. So, okay, so you had all this traction. You're getting attention from Major League Gaming. You partnered with this guy. So this is gamingjerseys.com.
Yep.
Where did the transition happen from gaming jerseys to Unreal?
So, gosh, it was probably a year into gaming jerseys, or close to, probably 8 months into gaming jerseys. I thought of this idea for let's create a company called Unreal, and everybody's saying, like, all these athletes are getting interviewed after their big championships, and that was Unreal, and it's what everyone says to describe anything awesome that happened. And so, like, man, we should make a kind of a side business actually, and just call it Unreal Supply Co. and do some T-shirts and stuff like that. I actually showed it to my old business partner, and he thought it was cool, but we were too focused on gaming jerseys to really do anything with it. But I had like a website built for it. But then we got to like the 1 year point of us being into gaming jerseys, and now I'm midway through my sophomore year at Mankato, and we ended up going back to Dallas. They gave us the licensing deal. It was a huge opportunity. Essentially, everybody that signs up for a Major League Gaming tournament had to buy a jersey through us with the MLG insignia on the chest, and it was a big deal. And so I dropped out of school at that time, and that was.
And what year did you drop out?
Sophomore year.
Sophomore
2012.
Year. Just saw like things happening on the side. Okay.
It was pretty much once we locked that in, I knew I was going to be way too busy to stick around school. I mean, this is 7-figure contract we're talking about, and we needed to make a move. So, I like I said, dropped out of school, worked full time in the office, and when we got closer and closer to signing this deal, we talked more and more about a merger of the existing company that my partner owned and gaming jerseys, and bringing those two things together. And I wasn't too keen on that idea because, one, I didn't know anything about the other business necessarily. I didn't know what the numbers
the operation.
I was told it was a nationwide softball distributor, and I don't necessarily know if that was the case or not, but I never got access to any of the financials, none of that stuff. It was just they were kind of trying to strong arm this whole thing through. And so I put my foot down. I knew that this wasn't what I wanted to do because they wanted to bring family members in, and my equity would essentially be cut in half. And so going from 50 to 25 and losing control wasn't in my agenda.
Right.
So I disagreed with that notion, and it turned into a legal battle. And so I had to get a lawyer involved, and we spent 8 months in arbitration trying to figure this thing out. It was a nightmare.
And this is sophomore year.
Yeah. So now
what you would have been.
It would have been my sophomore year. Yeah. And so, about 3 months in, we're already looking at losing this MLG contract because we can't
produce anything.
Yeah, we can't get our stuff together internally. And so we ended up losing the contract. We agreed that no one was going to sign it, but that also didn't happen. And after 8 months of battling this guy, I realized that there was probably no light at the end of the tunnel. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to, I got to cut my losses here. I'm 50 grand in with this attorney, and I'm 19 now, but I'm 19 years old. I dropped out of school. I owe the college some money. I owe my lawyer a ton of money. I got a mountain of debt, and I have no opportunities anymore. So that was probably the lowest point of my career, and hopefully will always be the lowest. Yeah, the rock bottom. But
dang, dude.
That was like waking up every day with a pit in your stomach. Like, it's terrible. You feel like you're losing your baby. Like, you created this thing, and now it's being taken away. And so that's pretty much what happened. I pulled the plug, and I said, you know what, I got to do something else now. I'm stuck. I got all this debt.
But right before, things kind of went back and forth, you had this idea for, this Unreal side business thing, right?
Yeah, and like I said, that's really what it was I wanted it to be kind of a side business project. And when I pulled the plug, I said, I got to do something different. I'm going to start up this Unreal thing for sure. I mean, that's a website that's already built. I think it's got some legs to it, and we'll start that up. And I also need a steady job because it's not overnight success with these online businesses, especially. So got my appraiser's license, got in the real estate game, started doing that for a while.
I didn't even know that.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did that for 2 years actually.
Wow.
So got my real estate license and started doing that. Worked in an office in Roseville from 9 to 5, and then after that, all night long, was working on Unreal. And things were going great with Unreal. I mean, it was not great, but like it got off the ground. People were showing some interest, and we were selling some stuff.
And this is at the university?
No, this was at home in White Bear.
Oh, okay,
so
just in
I
White
was
Bear.
back living with my parents, or my mother, and so I started this thing with $300. I called up that Derek Cooper, same guy that was stitching my polos for these website clients, and I said, hey man, I got $300. I need some hats and T-shirts. I got to put a website up and
I got to make some money.
So
I'm in the hole.
It was like pull the plug on gaming jerseys, wake up the next day, start Unreal, and started up Unreal. Got my
and again, the whole thing, like you're just like kind of like getting this gut feeling, and you're just kind of like pulling the trigger because your parents are doing something entirely different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, where did that piece come from? Is it just like literally like coming up with these ideas and you trust your gut and just chasing it? Like, is it just starting when you don't really know where to go, but just like getting that first idea out there?
That's a fair question. I mean, the drive, I guess, comes from just wanting, like deep down, wanting to do something bigger than what I think I can do, and create something from scratch and have it be something.
There's the goosebumps, bro. Can we zoom in on that?
Create something and have it stand the test of time, have jobs created and have something that was an idea come to life. It's
right.
kind of the drive, I think, behind it. And apparel was a great way for me to do that. I mean, it's kind of a low-cost barrier entry to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a competitive area, but it doesn't cost a fortune to get into it. So most people do start with more than $300. I don't know too many people that did that, but it's doable,
Right.
And so fast forward, started that up, it's starting to gain a little bit of traction, and I'm working at this real estate appraisal company, and one day I just get a phone call from some guy. He goes, hey, are you the T-shirt guy? I don't get calls like that especially at the office, right? I'm like, yeah, I am. Who's this? Oh, this is Jordan Leopold. I'm like, what? Did I hear this correctly? Like, Jordan Leopold is my idol. Like, you might not know who he is, but played for the Gophers, won the Hobie Baker Award, and then went on to play, I think, 13 years in the NHL.
Okay.
I actually finished his career with the Wild.
I do remember that, yeah.
And so I used to go to, like, Gopher games carrying this guy's sign. Like, he was my guy. And so I heard that. My voice is, like, trembling on the phone. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Definitely the T-shirt guy.
I am the T-shirt guy. What can I do for you? And he said, well, I got this fantasy football league. I need to make some shirts for the guys in the locker room. Can you help me out? Here's what I'm looking for. So whipped those up, sent it out to him. 2 days later, he calls me. I need another round of T-shirts. We're going to play a prank in the locker room. Whipped those up, sent it out. And then kind of built the relationship. Then I called him back when I was getting a little more comfortable, and I said, hey, Jordan, here's what I really want to do. I've got this brand called Unreal, and I really want to ultimately work with the NHL at some point and do licensed apparel and see my product in an NHL arena. If I were to make a St. Louis Blues sample and send it out to you, would you be able to put it on the right person's desk? Because that's who he was playing for at the time. And he said, well, yeah, I could do that, but why don't we start with the Wild? They're right in your backyard. That might be easier. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that'd be fantastic. So Jordan came back into town, sat in on this meeting with me. I show up, I think I was still 19 at the time. Show up at the Wild's corporate office, and I got this crummy sample with me, that was the first sweatshirt we've ever made. And I'm meeting my idol, and I'm also going in to meet with the front office of the Minnesota Wild the same day, and I'm a kid. I've never done anything like this, so that was a pretty intimidating day for me. But we go in there, we sit down at this table. Jordan really endorses the product and kind of does the selling for me, and then gets up and throws this hoodie on. I thought the seams were gonna rip when he put it on. It was pretty brutal, but
it's version 1.
But they held together, and the Wild ended up giving us a shot. They placed a small order with us, and we figured out how to make a good
Were you
hoodie.
still in school or out of school at this point?
I was dropped out at this point.
Okay, so you're still dropped out at this point. Okay.
Yep. Actually, I might have been taking classes at Century Community College at the time.
Okay.
So after a year being dropped out, I started taking classes again just to get back in the swing because I wanted to go finish.
Right.
And so I could have been taking classes at the time, I don't remember, but I was printing shirts all day long in my mom's basement, doing customer service emails, building a website, creating the next product, and one-man banding this thing. I had another guy in college that I met at Mankato prior to dropping out, Travis Wan, and we had kind of come up with a lot of these ideas together, and he was really doing all the social media work for us and kind of being our sales guy at the time. And so he was coming back, he was still heavily involved, kind of running it remotely from Mankato. And so yeah, we just kept pushing it, man, pushing the envelope one day after another. And then once it kind of got stagnant or like steady a little bit, then I went back to school and went back to Mankato.
What made you want to go back to school? Like you're clearly like doing something different, and you have some of these successes. You kind of had, you know, a major L right in the beginning, which is the whole gaming jerseys thing. Like, what made you want to go back to school?
I just wanted to finish what I started, really, and continue building the foundation that I was building there. You know, it was a great network for me. There was a lot of people there that were helping me out, and a lot of people that were buying our stuff. And it was just, I wanted to have that. Part of me was, you know, I wanted to go back and learn the fundamentals of business too. I mean, that was huge. Was going back and really understanding the accounting and understanding the little things that you need to know in order to be successful in business.
Dude, I'm so happy you just touched point on that, because a lot of people just kind of is like, oh, I got to go to class. But like, if you have intention and you're starting this business on the side, you can use the resources that they have to literally just gauge in on what you really care about and use that as a resource and bring it back into your business.
Well, that's so different. If you're not already doing business and you're going and learning about these glossary terms that don't apply to you, it's hard to, you're studying these things, trying to cram and learn something so you can remember it tomorrow.
Right.
But you have your own business going on and you go to class and you're like, oh, that's what that's called? Like, nice.
Exactly.
All right. Like, I've been doing that for a year. Like,
exactly.
Okay, cool. And so it makes everything way more relevant. And so I enjoyed it at that point. You know, there were obviously certain classes that I didn't enjoy, but like for the most part, I loved being in school and learning about this stuff. And so,
well, I remember the first time that I actually I knew of you because I knew Unreal, and like I've always wanted to be a part of a clothing company. But I remember the first time that I actually like really like learned about you and who you were and what Unreal was all about was marketing club. I was sitting there front row and I was like, Unreal, like what is that? I was like just trying to figure out like what was coming in the door, and it was like some younger person, because everyone else has been a lot older talking about everything that they've already done. You come walking through the door, and I'm just like, all right, what is this all about?
So when did you start in Mankato? Because I think I might have been graduated at that point.
I started 2013 is when I graduated high school.
Okay.
So when you dropped out, I was probably just getting started.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, so then we connected at Marketing Club.
Yep.
You did a whole presentation. You were talking about, you used to call them minions. Now everyone calls them influencers. Yeah. I love that, bro. I low-key wish they would have went with minions instead of influencers. Okay. But I remember you talking about, like, you had all these, like, hockey accounts that had, like, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 following on Twitter.
Yep.
And you would just DM them and talk about, you know, what Unreal is all about and seeing if they could post something on your behalf.
Yeah, we basically barter, like, hey man, we'll give you like 3 t-shirts and a hat if you do 3 posts for us. And the value in those 3 posts was
a lot.
Us selling 100 t-shirts, so giving away 3 was no problem, you know?
Right.
So that worked out well. And yeah, I remember coming in and talking to your class and saying, you know, here's my strategy, here's how we grew.
And that's what I love, dude. You were just like so real. You pulled up like your Facebook, your Instagram, and it was just like a deep dive where everyone was just talking about these like high-level thought processes. Right. And it's like this guy is sitting across the room talking about he built an apparel company based off of Facebook and Instagram. I paid so much more closer attention because you didn't only talk about like how you got there, you're talking about exactly like all the losses, all like the W's, and just getting really gritty with it. And I think everyone after Marketing Club stayed after and wanted to talk to you.
Yeah, I remember that. And that was a big strategy of mine going into that was, do I go in and talk high-level strategy and just try to put together a Q presentation, or is it going to be more relevant if it's, here's every time I slipped up and fell, like, make sure you don't do that is
right.
Kind of my strategy going into that.
Right.
I think it was way more relevant. It was just realistic to the things that, you know, people that are actually taking the initiative to be a part of the Marketing Club and do an extracurricular, they're probably going through the same things right now. So,
right. So, like, you came into Marketing Club. Let's back up a second. Who told you to go to Marketing Club? Did you just like seek it out and want to speak about your business and just like become more relatable?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I definitely wasn't looking for the opportunity, but I think it was Dean Flannery that had approached me and asked to come speak at this club because it was something that she was heavily involved in and always looking for, you know, relevant speakers. And at Mankato, it's all about real world things, and like having someone young that's currently a student.
That's the one thing I love the university does is like when they start to see someone like have a passion or a drive, they really capitalize on that and just try to give every opportunity possible to just make that thing happen. Because I mean, like, did you know like Nick Lindy at all?
Yeah, Nick was my boy. Dude.
Really,
yeah.
dude? Really?
Yeah.
So
Still is my boy. But
yeah,
when I was in school, he was instrumental helping me. I mean,
I remember, dude, I was in like Business 295 and I had business cards made and I hadn't even started the business, and I just walked up and I'm like, hey, here's what I'm starting. Because in the beginning of his semester, he said, there's 200 people in this room. I'm going to remember 5. I'm going to build a good relationship with 5 people in this room out of 200.
Is that what he told you?
He told the whole
that's
class.
That's exactly how it went after my class.
Really?
I mean, he didn't say that, but that's what
Maybe
happened.
that's why he talked about it, because I would have been starting right when you like would have been ending that class. And he said, I'm going to remember 5 people. And I literally just like spark hit. And I was like, I want to be one of those 5. So I went and printed business cards and handed to him. I was like, this is what I'm all about. This is what I want to do. Yep. And he started opening up some of these first doors for me. So that's how you kind of got connected to the university. And
literally same story. So first day of class, Business 295. And I'm going to this class like, all right, what is this intro to business?
Yeah.
You know, like
it's like professional business or something.
Yeah. I figured it was some like intro kind of BS class.
Yeah.
And I go in there and sit in this auditorium with 300 people. And Nick opens up the floor and starts talking, and then like instantly I'm just like,
this guy's kind of cool.
Yeah, like he's drawing my attention, and so he was talking about such like fundamental business things. It wasn't
practical.
It wasn't the high level strategy and like reading from a book. It was, hey man, here's what I did. Here's my story. I was out selling. I was hustling, selling. What was it? Magazine ads, right? And that like drew me in instantly, just relating to that. And so again, after the class, did exactly what you did. I walked up, got in line, waited for like 10 minutes in this line of 30 people to talk to him after. And I walk up, I'm wearing this like State of Hockey hat. And it was like I just started working with the Wild and doing this State of Hockey brand.
Slight plug.
And I didn't know that he was going to say anything about it. I was just wearing that hat.
You have to wear your own product.
Yeah. And it's cheaper that way.
Yeah. True.
And so I walk up and he's like, the first thing he says is, hey man, what's your name? I said, Michael. That's a cool hat. And
really?
Like, where did you get it? And I was like, that's great. And I said, actually, I made it. He goes, what? Like, I was just gonna buy that hat at the mall the other day. I'm like, that's pretty cool. And I was like, yeah, this is my brand, Unreal. And so then he was interested, and so we started really chatting and like building a relationship. And Nick has opened so many doors for me, just like because I'm a student, you know, or was.
And because you actually showed him.
And because I showed him that I really want to get to the next level, then he goes to bat for you. And that's just like any of these professors. I mean, that's kind of the big thing was I didn't even talk to any professors the first leg of me being in Mankato prior to dropping out. I was just like chilling,
showing up in class, getting your stuff done.
Yeah, partying on the weekends.
Would you say that's a pivotal start of your career? Is actually like going and like maybe not directly to just where everything's at right now, but like a pivotal just point where you actually went after class, introduced yourself, and then doors got open and it built from there?
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Nick has introduced me to so many alumni that are, you know, big wigs in the business world and have insane connections, and they've now turned into clients, mentors, everything else. I mean, within a year, he had a meeting for me with the Timberwolves. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, he's just kind of all over the place, and I think it's just, you know, the people in Mankato, or the professors in Mankato, they want to take their students and elevate them to the next level, and they have the connections to do it.
Right.
So if you're interested, that's the key, right? You can't just like go to Mankato and
expect it. Yeah, you're not entitled to anything. But if you go out of your way and just like tell them exactly what you want and how you want to get there, and like follow through on everything you're talking about, because a lot of people talk. But I think the thing that separates...
Yeah, you talk a lot.
I talk a lot, but I execute on 85% of it. 85%. There's that 15, it just slides through the cracks. It might happen next year, but I'm very ambitious. So, but that's the one thing is like so many people talk in college. It's the people that actually start doing things. It doesn't have to be the best of the best, but you have to put that shitty idea out there first. You have to like start the business now when it's like, you just have to start, dude.
That's the one thing that I like when I go back and do these speakings at different schools and stuff, talking to high school kids or college kids or whatever it may be, is start now. I mean, everyone wants to start a business and live this like lavish life, and they see like the
being on a beach and like working from their phone, making millions of dollars. Like, bro,
like
let me know.
Life, like your life, right?
No, it's not my life, dude. I'm glued to my phone no matter where I'm at.
But everybody wants to wait for the perfect time. They're like, I'll wait till. I'll probably have a starter job, and then maybe like once I get to my next job and like things kind of plateau a little bit, I'm steady income and my kids are growing a little bit, then I'll do it. And No, it's the wrong answer. I mean, you have kids to take care of, you have a mortgage to pay for, you got a wife to support. You know, you got a lot of things.
Your risk opportunity just closed real quick. Totally. But right now, especially going to college.
Now, what do you have going on?
Yeah.
Right? Like when you're in college, let's be honest, you got all the free time in the world. You got a couple hours of class every day.
Yeah.
And then what are you doing?
Right.
So I think that was another piece of it too. Is like I needed something to keep me busy all the time. So I turned into a work addict pretty much. But you have a safety net when you're in college, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're living on probably student loans, and if you take $1,000 or whatever it may be and put it into investing into starting a business, I mean, yeah, the odds are you're probably not going to succeed and hit a home run on your first swing, but you're going to learn a lot, and it's going to be worth that investment because you also have that, like I said, that safety net where if you slip and fall, it's not the end of the world, right?
Well,
like you're
what's
not
the worst
going
that
to
could happen?
Yeah.
You go live with your parents.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You'd probably be mad, but then it'll make you just like a little bit more of a drive to just try the next thing.
Exactly. I mean, look at what happened to me.
Yeah.
I took it a little off the deep end there.
Right.
I was, about 70 or 80 grand in debt at the end of the day, but you can do it without going that far in. I mean, hopefully it doesn't turn into a legal battle for you, but
right.
But you start now, and I mean, man, you lose $5 grand or whatever it may be. The experience you're going to gain and the relevancy that's going to start connecting when you're in the classroom is just, it's so worth it.
And the thing too is people are going to recognize that you actually went out and tried to do something. That's a big piece.
And that's how I built my network. I'm not the coolest guy in town, but I started to get some friends.
I mean, your name is Michael Jordan, bro. Come on.
Yeah, it's kind of more of a curse than a blessing.
Because there's a lot of explanation after.
People are very disappointed when they meet me. But no, I mean, you start to build a network. I mean, naturally things start to come together because people are interested in what you're doing. And
would you say that's one of the most like influential like pieces of going to college is like that there is a network that can go in so many different directions?
Totally. I mean, where else are you going to go where you have thousands of people that are like-minded and right in for me, my target demographic, right?
Right.
Like, I was selling t-shirts out of our apartment the whole time I was there. We were printing them and slanging them.
Did you do like a homecoming like run or something?
Yeah, we did like a couple thousand tanks.
I'm pretty sure that was the first time like I had a one-on-one conversation with you was homecoming, and I saw everyone wearing shirts, and you were like at some college townhouse, and I didn't know anyone there. I walked up to the front porch, and I was like, dude, you're killing it. I was like, I admire everything you're doing. I've always wanted to be a part of a clothing line. Like, I just love what you're doing. And then I threw my plug. I was like, I actually run a marketing company. I was like, we're not going to work together right now. I'm not at that level. But in the future, like, I'm going to work with you. And I remember telling you that on homecoming. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember it vividly.
Really?
Yeah, I do. But I was looking at you like, who is this little puppy dog? Like,
I'm just like a little bulldog on a leash, bro. I just like jump at everything.
But you were aggressive with it. I mean, it was probably alcohol induced a little bit. But overall, I mean, the persistence was there, and then that kept coming. And so, like, I'm not gonna lie, the first time I met you, I was like, yeah, we'll see. You know, like, I doubt it, But he'll probably give that up in a year, and we'll see where it goes. And you just always stayed on me though about it. Like
I remember you just like kept like posting all these things, and I would like hit you up and like, dude, this is sweet. Keep going, man. Like just persistence in the DMs.
Yeah, totally. And that was without me even knowing. That was building that network. And fast forward to where we are now. I finished school and like accelerated all my classes and just like got it done in like a year and a half or something when I came back because I just like wanted to continue with the business. So that was a grind.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Like,
holy cow.
I can't remember the credit load, but it was like 19 or something credits. I don't know. But did that, and then I was going straight to the office. We opened that little office. I don't know if you ever saw that.
I remember that. Yeah, I do remember that.
Down on Riverfront. Yeah, that was pretty cool. But
the old fun.com office.
Yeah. So we opened that up and worked from there. But it was like basically like we had interns coming in like after class, and we had Travis coming down because he was now at St. Thomas, going back and forth, and so we just kept plugging away, and then ended up moving to St. Paul as soon as I graduated. Started in a smaller office here in St. Paul, and then now eventually got to this office, and like it was like probably like close to right when we started in this office, like August of last year. We started looking at who's going to be our marketing agency, and like fielded through like 3 different agencies, and like
all local around here, like St. Paul.
Yeah, I mean some of them had like national presence and back offices and stuff, but yeah, for the most part. Actually, one of them was an LA agency. They were Adidas agency, and so when they called, I was like, all right, they're my first look. I'm definitely going to go out.
Yeah, they worked with Adidas. Yeah.
Well, they're currently working with Adidas. He used to be with Nike. And so, and this guy was just like messaging me all the time. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to give him a shot. So they flew out and met with us, and it was looking good, but it was not like just wasn't feasible. I mean, the amount of money it would have cost to work with them was just not realistic. And the thing that I didn't like about when I was interviewing all these companies is like, it was all about the strategy, and then they're going to outsource everything. You know, like, we can't do the video content, we're going to have to outsource that, but we have the people. We can't do photos, we can outsource that, unless you have somebody. It was like, no,
what am I paying this bill for?
Yeah, I'm hiring you because I want you to take this over for me. I'll give you the strategy, you execute, is like the way I do business. And so we went through 3 different companies, and it just wasn't going great. And then actually Alex Potterov from our office, also another Mankato guy from Russia initially, met me when I was in school, being the same way you were, just like kind of being, out there with it. Just approached me at the CSU and said, "Hey man, I love what you're doing. I do web design. Any chance?"
See, what you don't know is behind that door, me and Alex were talking back and forth about Unreal and the things that were going on.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And so Alex ended up, being a full-time employee for us after school, and is still here today. And one day he sends me this. Well, he actually sent me the Adidas hockey marketing campaign for the Stanley Cup playoffs, and said, "This is everything we should be." And I watched it. I'm like, God dang it! Like, he's right. And then, no kidding, like 2 days later, I get an email from this guy that's been emailing me like every quarter for the last 2 years, and this LA agency, and he's like, "Hey man, I just wanted to see how you're doing. Here's what we're working on lately," and it's a link to the same video, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me! Like, this is the guy that's doing this. I didn't know he was with Adidas at the time, actually, and so I'm like, you gotta come out here. And so we flew him out and did the whole deal, and then I think it was a couple other agencies after that, and then things just weren't working. I was just frustrated, and Alex approaches me and he's like, "Hey man, what if we just call Brandon, because we needed a video out in like 2 hours. I'm sure you remember that." And we were dropping like our new hat collection and needed someone to do the drop video. And he's like, "You should call Brandon and see where he's at." So I called you up, and just like, I don't even remember how it went necessarily, but
it was literally like Alex was texting me, and he's just like, "We have to drop this like by tonight. Like, haven't talked to you in a long time. Hope you're doing well. Yeah. Here's some photos. Here's some video clips." I was like, "I got you. Like, let me, like, this is the calling I've been waiting for."
But then I called you, and you were like all coy about it.
Had to be.
I'm like, "Hey man, I think we got an opportunity for you here. If you can pull through and deliver here, we might have an opportunity to work together in the future." And you're like, "All right, man. Yeah, that sounds good. I'll see what I can do. I'm on a tight deadline today, or a tight schedule today, but I'll see if I can do it." Like, not excited at all. And then like an hour later, I see like the most dope video ever in my inbox. I'm like,
just kept hitting you with this different content. Yeah.
I call you back. I'm like, "All right, you're the guy. Come back. We're gonna figure out a little more permanent solution." So I think it was just that persistency that won it over for me in terms of like our relationship. You've been hounding me for a long time, just like the guy from LA was.
Right.
Finally, I'm like, all right, let's give him an opportunity. I know a couple marketing guys. Let's make some calls, and stringing that together it's cool how it all came together. Now, you guys basically office out of here half the week, and it's a pretty seamless working environment. We're learning from each other. It's fun.
Right. Well, what's crazy to me, man, is that like, we're working with so many different things going on, and we both came from Mankato, and we have so many of the same connections that started in Mankato. You talk about Dean Flannery, you talk about Nick Lindy, all the different professors, and all the
our staffs, right? Like, my staff is like 75% Mankato, and
same,
so is yours. Yeah.
Same. And it's just really crazy to think about that. And so, yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest things that, transitioned the Butterfly and where Unreal is literally us working together.
Totally.
Because another agency is not going to be as agile. I'm in my growing phase, you're in your growing phase. And when you start to just look at the landscape of where everything's at, and you start to link up with like-minded people and just really tell each other, like, here's what I want to do, here's what I want to do, and then building a cohesive plan together, I feel like that's where things just really start to ignite.
Oh, totally. I mean, that's exactly what I was looking for, was someone that's willing to get in and do the dirty work and like actually shoot the commercial, not go try to relay my information to the next guy to shoot it. And so that's what's been so cool, is like we can turn a video around in a matter of an hour. We can, release the game-winning photo.
Put an FSN commercial together in like 4 hours.
Yeah, we gotta stop doing that.
But that's just what it is, dude. And I think we're gonna look back on like this video specifically, and we're gonna be like, dude, one, we're gonna be like, wow, we were so young. Yeah. Two, we're gonna be like, wow, we thought we were something, but like now where we're at today, like looking back at this 15 years, we're like, wow, that's so insane to look back on it.
But none of this would have come together if we didn't both choose to not go to the Artist to go to Mankato,
right.
which is really cool. I think it's weird how that comes together too.
I know. It's just like a coincidence that like there's too many things that happened that it just doesn't almost doesn't even make sense. It's like how many like close paths just crossed. But yeah, man, I think what we did together is a little bit unorthodox of what other companies are doing, and no one's really talking about how this came together, because if someone watches this video right now and they hear about one thing that was relatable from your story or one thing that was relatable from my story and they start something different, like it's exponential growth.
That's what it's all about, man. Like, I get a huge rise out of that too, like helping someone else get to where they want to go. Like even like your boy Hui. Right?
Yeah,
like
you gave him the first heat press.
Yeah, like
and you didn't even charge him. You're like, bro, here, have it.
Well, he started the Succeed clothing company and like I was helping him grinding with it. And I was watching it, kind of start to take off, and he's asked me for help here and there, but like he was like nice enough and outgoing enough, first of all, to like come approach me and say, hey, here's what I'm doing. Like I'm a direct competitor, but here's what I'm doing, and I admired it. So when he would ask for advice, I was quick to give it to him. I'm not gonna like withhold secrets and stuff. Right. You know what I mean? I think we're all after something. There's plenty of room for everyone to succeed. And I think it's part of that community of being down in that same city together and like growing something together. So I come use my office whenever. You could use my heat presses, and ended up giving him the heat press so that he could continue after I left school, which like I love the fact that he continued that business and like was just killing it with it, even after I left. It's cool. Yeah.
And he was actually the president of Marketing Club. Was it when you presented, or was it the year after?
I think it was when I presented.
I think so too. Yeah, I think you came in at the tail end of that, and that's how I got connected to Hui. And I think Hui actually like introduced us really briefly when we first met, because I was talking to him about marketing and stuff like that. It's just, dude, it's crazy. But yeah, to wrap this up, I think if anyone's actually like watched this video, to take one thing away from it, it's use your resources. If you're going to college, if you're a part of organizations and you're doing all these different things, you have these aspirations, the university, if you show them how much you're about it, they will open up doors. And Absolutely. I think me and Michael can both attest to that, and that's what this whole purpose of this video is. Go to Marketing Club. Stay after, talk to your professors. They're wise. They've been through a lot more of the lessons learned before you actually need to learn them yourself. And, build a network. Reach out to other people that you're inspired by, and if there's something that sparks that passion, chase it.
Couldn't agree more. Said it beautifully.
Let's
start now.
Let's get it. That's it. It's a wrap.